So in Calgary, Alberta. Anybody been to Calgary before? Oh, lots of Calgarians. Or maybe you've just visited. Maybe you're not. Anybody from Calgary? Nobody from Calgary? I've only driven through once, and it's been like 20 years ago, so I don't remember a whole lot. I do know that there's mountains close by, right? So that's one thing. So they have a phenomenon called Chinook winds. Okay, they're warm winds that blow from the Pacific Ocean, and then they raise the temperature significantly over a very short time. Okay, so here you have one particular week in January. Okay, keep that in mind, in January. And you've got your -12, -14, -5. All of a sudden, you've got a +15. This is actually a phenomenon that happens in Calgary from time to time. So can you imagine January, all of a sudden it's +15, right? So that is definitely happening right there. And then we go back to normal, back to the previous lows, right? What is the mean high temperature for the week? So let's figure out what kind of a mean are we talking about? What average? The arithmetic mean, okay? So just make sure you know what the arithmetic mean is. It's the regular mean, all right? So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days. And if you add that up, did anybody do this already? What did you get? You're supposed to get -46, so that's the tricky part here. So, right, -12 minus 14 minus 5 plus 15 minus 8 minus 10 minus 12. There you go. That is, if you add up all the temperatures, you end up with -46. You divide that by 7, you get -6.57, okay? And mean is a measurement, so it's okay to have decimals no matter what. That's my average temperature, including the outlier. So we know this is biased, this is skewed, this is probably not what most weeks look like, all right? So on what day did the Chinook occur? Wednesday, right? On Wednesday, right? +15 degrees Celsius. So I can see the province, you got to read carefully. It's not something that, right, if you read carefully, then you should be able to figure it out. It's Wednesday. What is the trimmed mean of the daily highs? Trimmed mean indicates what? Remove the lowest and highest automatically, okay? That's what as soon as you see the word trimmed mean, you know that you have to remove the lowest and the highest. So let's go back up, and I'm going to use a red pen for this one. So my lowest is -14, correct? So this is the lowest, and the highest is 15. My goal is, though, to remove the outlier. That's the ultimate goal. That's why I'm applying the trimmed mean. But in doing so, I need to also take out the lowest just to balance it out. Otherwise, you're biased the other way, right? All right. So what's the trimmed mean there? I like to go TM with that. And so one thing that changes is from the 7, I go to 5, right? So that's a common error that students do take away the 2 values, but they forget that there's only 5 left. And here's, you have to be careful. I would suggest when it's negatives, if you're struggling with it, just do this again. But this time, do not include the ones you've crossed out. Right? You're supposed to get -47. You divide that by 5, and there you go. It's -9.4 degrees Celsius. Okay. Which is the better indicator? You're supposed to say the trimmed mean. The trimmed mean, since it omits the outliers. Welcome back, Kai. Since it omits the outliers. Okay? Outliers skew the mean. Okay, that is the main point. Sorry, you can't see that. We're on page 34. Outliers skew the mean. Which way does it skew in this particular case? Which way does it pull? Up or down? Did somebody say something? Up or down? The outlier pulls the average up because it's an upper outlier, right? So it's pulling it up. So it's actually skewing it up. It almost sounds like a swear. It's a bleep bleep, right? It skews it up. So you just remember that. So removing it will result in our average dropping. But this is probably most representative of what's actually happening on Calgary on a regular basis, okay? All right. I think I'm going to leave it at that. That's trimmed mean, guys. Remove the lows and the highs. And I told you yesterday the province replied to my email because I said, are you always going to let us know how many to remove? And so by default, you remove one on either end. Default. If you need to remove more than one on either end, they will tell you. Okay? So they will say by removing the two lowest and the two highest scores or precipitation, right? If it's rain or temperatures, you name it. I think we're good here. Maybe I'll just show you 33. I will just show you the key for the previous page. I don't want to redo the whole thing. But this one right here, you actually end up with two outliers. If you arrange this set, right, you have a slow increase, but then all of a sudden from 183 you jump 470 and 520. So these are my outliers in this case on page 33. What do they represent? The time for dogs to complete an obstacle course. Okay. So obviously we add everything up, divided by 10. This is the arithmetic mean. That's how long it takes on average for a dog to complete the course. You can tell though that something went wrong here, right? So this is not what the majority of dogs are taking to complete their obstacle course. So what do I do? In this case, trimming, I didn't tell you, but there's two outliers. So we would want to trim the two upper and the two lowest values. There's 4 values that you would want to remove. So you go from 10 down to 6. And from this amount down to 931. So you either take the previous sum and subtract the 4 values to get it, or you just go up there and just pick the 6 that remain when you remove, right? You remove these 2 and those 2, so you're left with 6. So either way is fine. Okay. If you forget to remove, like turn the 10 into a 6, you lose a full mark, just so you know. So you gotta watch out for that. Which one is more accurate? The trimmed mean would be considered most accurate since it does not include the outliers. Outliers affect or skew the average. You can't see that part, can you? Sorry about that, but it is posted. There's a PDF on this. Dogs may have been recently trained, right? Maybe it's just a newbie dog, right? Never done that before. Dogs may have had something break on the course. Maybe somebody in the audience is having like a bone, right, and distracted the dog. I don't know. Like if they ever ask you what the outliers are, like why that may have caused, just use the context to answer. Okay. All right. Let's see. Let's see how you understand this, and then we'll move on to the next part.